Breaking, London, 8:37 a.m. GMT. After nearly 4 years in self-imposed exile, Prince Harry has formally re-entered royal territory, not as a duke and not as a husband, but as a father seeking reconciliation and structure for the sake of his children. In a move confirmed by Buckingham Palace late Thursday evening, the 25th of January, 2026, Prince Harry has signed a set of legally binding agreements with the Crown, officially severing joint guardianship ties with Meghan Markle and committing to a structured path of reintegration under royal supervision. The documents, known internally as the Custodial Accord of Windsor, mark a seismic shift in the 6-year saga of tension between the Sussexes and the institution they once served. While royal watchers were still dissecting the fallout from recent investigations into Meghan Markle's alleged financial and personal misconduct, few expected Prince Harry to act with such clarity or finality. And yet, as of the 24th of January 2026, the agreement is in place. The Duke of Sussex has begun the process of relinquishing his American residency, terminating all legal financial entanglements with Meghan Markle, and returning to the UK, this time, not in search of titles or restitution, but to safeguard the future of Archie and Lilibet. The Crown's official statement, released through Street James's Palace, reads, His Majesty King Charles III has received and reviewed formal assurances from Prince Harry of Wales regarding his permanent disengagement from all non-consensual associations that have compromised the welfare and public standing of the monarchy. In the interest of stability and long-term custodial care of Master Archie and Miss Lilibet, arrangements have been made under legal and moral supervision to facilitate their return to the United Kingdom. Things devise. Sources confirm that the Custodial Accord was negotiated over 3 weeks in private meetings between Harry's new legal counsel, the Lord Chamberlain's office, and the Queen's Constitutional Advisory Board. The final version was signed at Frogmore House under closed-door conditions, with only Prince Edward, Princess Anne, and the King's legal advisers present. The accord includes transfer of primary guardianship of Archie 7 and Lilibet 5 to Harry under the sovereign recognition of the Crown. Complete severance of shared legal custody with Meghan Markle to be pursued through the California family court system. No financial assistance for Harry from the Crown, including housing, security, or allowances. Obligatory residency in royal-owned transitional quarters on the Windsor estate, monitored by the private secretary to the Princess Royal, for a 6-month reacclimation period. A formal oath to abstain from all commercial engagements or memoir publications involving royal family members or royal history. And most significantly, a signed declaration acknowledging that Harry will not re-enter the line of succession, nor will his children hold HRH styles while under minority status. In what royal aides have described as the most emotional turning point in the negotiation, Prince Harry submitted a handwritten 2-page letter to his father, King Charles III, dated January 19, in which he wrote, "This is not a bid for restoration. I do not seek return, status, or forgiveness on my own behalf. I am asking for one thing only, that my children be allowed to grow in truth, decency, and legacy, far from a life built on illusion and litigation." He continued, "If that means I must remain outside the walls that I once called home, I accept it without complaint. But please let Archie and Lilibet have roots in the land of their blood," Centric says. According to insiders familiar with the letter, it was this act of humility, rather than legal maneuvering, that ultimately softened King Charles's stance. Princess Anne, long critical of Harry's prior decisions, was reportedly the one who insisted on a 6-month monitoring framework rather than a flat rejection. Speaking off the record to the Sunday Chronicle, a source close to the Princess Royal said, "Anne sees this not as forgiveness, but as containment. She believes in protecting the children, not excusing the adults." Multiple sources now confirm that Harry's turning point came not during a confrontation with the palace, but following a bombshell private investigators' report delivered to him in mid-January. The report, compiled at Harry's request and submitted to the Royal Legal Advisory Council, allegedly includes detailed financial records, private communications, and timeline inconsistencies, implicating Meghan in a pre-existing connection to Prince Andrew during her college years. While official statements from the palace refuse to comment on the contents, Harry's legal filing in California Family Court Case No. 23FL1067 includes sealed exhibits referencing historic misconduct and irreconcilable deception inconsistent with parental integrity. It was the 18th of January 2026 when Harry filed the initial petition for dissolution of marriage, citing fraud, psychological manipulation, and endangerment of children's reputational safety as core grievances. The documents were electronically signed in Los Angeles and transferred to the UK Family Services Liaison Office the following day. Buckingham Palace has refrained from issuing personal commentary on the matter. However, Clarence House released a brief statement on January 26. His Majesty considers the welfare of his grandchildren paramount. All actions taken have been in pursuit of their safety, dignity, and future. Princess Catherine, whose public stance has been defined by restraint, was seen on January 25 at a children's charity event in Berkshire. When asked about the reports regarding Harry, she smiled and responded, "Family matters will be managed as family should, with patience and in private." Her comment, interpreted by body language analysts as cautious optimism, was widely reported across major outlets, including the BBC, The Times, and Sky News. Meanwhile, Prince William has made no comment. Sources close to Kensington Palace confirm that William remains observant, but not yet re-engaged. Did. The Guardian headlined their Saturday edition with, "Prince Harry chooses blood over brand." The Daily Mail ran a more cautious banner. "Custody without a crown, Sussex exit ends in children's return." But perhaps the most poignant editorial came from The Telegraph, which read, "For the first time in years, Harry didn't speak as a rebel, he spoke as a father." And Airy presented. Los Angeles, January 25. As news of Prince Harry's secret custodial accord with the Crown broke across Europe, the shockwave finally reached Montecito not with a bang, but with the quiet rage of a woman caught off guard. Sources inside Meghan Markle's dwindling inner circle confirm that she first learned of the signed agreement late on the evening of January 24, when her legal team received official notification from the California Superior Court of Santa Barbara County, informing her that Prince Harry had filed a motion for sole custody and international relocation of Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor and Lilibet Diana Mountbatten Windsor. The filing cites long-term parental misalignment, concealment of financial and personal histories, and the urgent need for child welfare safeguards. The language, stripped of emotional flourish, is cold and unmistakable. Prince Harry is severing ties fully and permanently with Meghan Markle. On January 25 at 10:42 a.m. PST, a pre-scheduled Instagram post appeared on Meghan's official profile, a muted photo of wildflowers and the caption, "Healing is not linear." No mention of the palace, no mention of Harry. But insiders confirm that behind closed doors, Meghan was furious, blindsided by the suddenness and legal precision of Harry's moves. "She thought he'd never go through with it," one former staffer said. "She thought he'd always come back, or at least give her control of the narrative." Instead, the control now belongs to a court calendar. Meghan has been ordered to appear for mediation on the 19th of February 2026 at the Santa Barbara Family Services Center. Prince Harry is not required to attend in person. His legal counsel will represent him under Section 3048A of the California Family Code, citing international residence transfer. This legal strategy caught the attention of U.S. media analysts, many of whom believe it signals Harry's full commitment to severing not just emotional, but judicial connection to his former life in America. In the United Kingdom, headlines on The Telegraph and The Times painted the moment as Harry reclaiming responsibility. But in the United States, coverage has split. Vanity Fair ran the headline, Meghan faces custody challenge amid royal rift, while People magazine, typically sympathetic to Meghan, notably published a more cautious piece titled Custody, Conflict, and Consequences. A royal father's legal turnaround. Online, hashtags number custody war and number Archie and Lilibet trended for hours. Meanwhile, Virginia Giuffre's name returned to headlines, with legal analysts noting that Prince Harry's custody filing makes indirect reference to early unacknowledged incidents involving senior royal figures and college-aged women, a possible allusion to evidence Harry has privately submitted connecting Meghan to Prince Andrew during her Northwestern years. While none of these claims have been litigated, they may play a role in custody suitability hearings should the matter escalate past mediation. While Meghan's team rushes to mount a response, the palace remains publicly unmoved. No statements, no photo ops, no leaks. As one royal aide told The Guardian off record, this time, silence is not neglect, it is a strategy. The message is clear. The Crown has taken its position, Harry has chosen. And the next move belongs to Meghan, not as a duchess, but as a respondent in court. Windsor, January 27. Prince Harry is home, but not in the way most imagined. His quiet return to British soil, without his wife and without ceremony, marks not a royal reunion, but the beginning of a 6-month institutional evaluation, unprecedented in modern monarchy. It is not exile. It is not reinstatement. It is something far more fragile. A conditional probation rooted in paternal responsibility, not princely privilege. According to palace documents made available to select correspondents under embargo, Prince Harry is now subject to what insiders are calling the Royal Monitoring Protocol, a structured, legally outlined framework designed to assess his long-term viability as a guardian and his compatibility with the institutional standards required for the developmental care of his 2 children, Archie, 7, and Lilibet, 5. Effective the 25th of January 2026. Prince Harry has taken residence at Adelaide Cottage, a 4-bedroom home on the Windsor estate, not far from the home of the Prince and Princess of Wales, but separated by multiple security layers and strict access controls. He is not allowed to reside with Archie and Lilibet full-time until the 15th of April 2026, pending completion of the first phase of the monitoring period. For now, the children are under the direct temporary supervision of a 2-person Royal Child Welfare Panel, composed of Dame Rosalind Hargrave, former Director of Early Childhood Policy at the Department for Education, Sir James Colville, retired Chief Magistrate and long-time child custody evaluator in the Royal Courts of Justice. The children are residing in a separate secure wing of Royal Lodge, supervised 24/7, with daily contact permitted with Harry under limited terms, 2 hours per day, no overnight stays, and all interactions observed by a licensed developmental psychologist appointed by the Royal Household Medical Board. The protocol is overseen by a joint committee from the Privy Council Office, the Princess Royal's private secretary, and select members from the household of the Duke of Edinburgh. At the centre of it all stands Princess Anne. Known for her exacting standards and no-nonsense approach to duty, Princess Anne is said to have personally lobbied for a system that measured actions, not apologies. She doesn't care about how sorry he is, one royal aide confided to The Times. She cares about whether he can raise those children without drama, distraction, or dependence. Monthly assessments will include financial audits of Harry's independent earnings and expenditures, emotional stability reports from court-approved family therapists, observational logs from supervised playdates with the children, compliance with all stipulations of the Custodial Accord, especially media abstinence. Any breach, including unauthorized press engagement, social media use referencing the family, or engagement with legacy commercial contracts, that is to say, Netflix, Penguin Random House, voids the agreement and results in immediate retraction of guardianship privileges. The 6-month period, ending the 25th of July 2026, will determine whether Harry is granted primary residential custody of Archie and Lilibet under UK jurisdiction, continued access to limited royal facilities for child-raising purposes only, the ability to enrol his children in the Royal Early Education Initiative, including pre-placement assessments for Thomas's Battersea or Lambrook School, depending on the child's needs and evaluation outcomes. If successful, Harry may be allowed to reside with his children full-time at a designated non-royal property under Crown lease, possibly a converted residence near Bagshot Park. He will remain outside the line of succession and will not reclaim the HRH style or titles, nor will the children, unless the reigning monarch revisits their designation post-minority. However, if the review ends unfavourably, Harry will face a devastating outcome: forfeiture of custody and transfer of legal guardianship of both children to a royal-appointed guardian under the auspices of the Family Division of the High Court. Sources confirm that Prince Edward and Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, are being discreetly evaluated as potential long-term guardians, if necessary, a contingency not publicly acknowledged, but well known behind palace doors. The Custodial Accord specifies that the royal household shall bear no financial burden related to Harry or his children. This means no living stipends, no staff salaries, no transportation budgets, no renovation allowances, no security entitlements beyond legally required protections for minor children of royal blood. Harry is expected to submit a quarterly financial disclosure verified by a third-party auditing firm to demonstrate sustainability without assistance. Notably, Harry has already cancelled all remaining appearances under his Spotify and BetterUp partnerships, and renegotiated a $5.2 million settlement to terminate his Netflix contract. "This is not punishment," said one palace aide. "This is perimeter control. If he wants a future, it has to be built by his own hands, brick by brick, without leaning on the crown." For decades, the institution has been accused of shielding its members from consequence. But the Harry Protocol represents a tectonic cultural shift, one that blends monarchy with modern law, using contracts, courts, and oversight, rather than family dinners and photo ops. Royal historian Dr. Beatrice Langdon of the University of Oxford put it succinctly in her January 26 lecture at King's College London. "This is not a scandal, this is architecture. The monarchy is showing that blood matters, but not at the expense of duty, clarity, and institutional survival." And Distum, London, Santa Barbara. In a stunning legal escalation that further cements his break from Meghan Markle, Prince Harry has formally submitted sealed evidence in California court, alleging that Meghan not only misled him about key aspects of her personal and financial past, but also failed to disclose historical associations that have now raised serious concerns regarding parental fitness. On the 22nd of January 2026, attorneys representing Prince Harry filed a 43-page motion in Santa Barbara Superior Court under case reference HMWFL 1067, accompanied by an evidence binder labeled Schedule C, Timeline Discrepancy, and Reputational Risk Assessment. The documents, though not made public in their entirety, have been partially described through court-authorized summaries and legal correspondence familiar with the case. At the heart of Harry's declaration is the claim that Meghan Markle failed to disclose an orchestrated acquaintance with Prince Andrew dating back to 2002, facilitated according to the documents by Ghislaine Maxwell at an off-record event in Chicago during Meghan's time at Northwestern University. Though Meghan had previously dismissed all links to Andrew as malicious conspiracy, Harry's filing reportedly includes old travel records, indirect financial transactions, a partially recovered email string from a deactivated address, and an internal security memo from Kensington Palace, dated October 2018, which raised background inconsistencies that were overruled due to public image concerns. Well, Mr. Naded. The motion does not accuse Meghan of criminal conduct, but it claims that her past decisions, when viewed in the context of parental judgment, cast doubt on her ability to foster an environment rooted in honesty, transparency, and moral alignment. A senior legal advisor to the royal family described the filing as Harry's clean break moment, emphasizing, "This is not an attack. This is a statement of record. He is no longer willing to shield the past in order to protect an illusion." Axolati. In a separate section of the court filing, Harry provides detailed spreadsheets, compiled with the help of forensic auditors in the UK and a US-based legal finance firm, showing a trail of premarital earnings linked to entities later revealed to be associated with Epstein-tied donors and luxury PR firms. Notably, the document alleges that in 2003 and 2004, Meghan received wire transfers marked as media access development, including one routed through a now-defunct New York consultancy listed under Ghislaine Maxwell's former business manager. These records, according to Harry, were withheld or disguised during their 2018 legal union and re-emerged only in late 2025. During a background review triggered by custody considerations, the financial declarations have already caught the attention of US media. On January 26, the Wall Street Journal ran the headline, "Royal Custody Filing Raises Questions About Markle's Early Influences." Meanwhile, The Guardian stated plainly, "For the first time, Prince Harry is drawing a line in the legal sand not as a husband, but as a father." The cornerstone of Harry's case rests not on personal betrayal, but on family law criteria. Under California Family Code Section 3011, courts are required to consider the health, safety, and welfare of the child when determining custody. In Harry's declaration, he explicitly references Meghan's pattern of strategic deception under oath, manufactured crises for brand gain, and unmonitored commercial influence on the children's image. Annette Traders. He further alleges that multiple past events, including Meghan's staged hospitalization in 2025 uncovered by former staffer Samantha Reid, demonstrate an inability to distinguish between publicity, management, and parental responsibility. Yes, and he's already begun. In the January 22 filing, Harry formally offered to provide live testimony in court under penalty of perjury regarding the timeline of his discovery of Meghan's concealed associations, the nature of her response when confronted, the emotional and reputational toll on their children, his own regrets and responsibilities. His legal team has requested a preliminary testimonial hearing in early March 2026, though Meghan's attorneys have countered, seeking to suppress Schedule C on the basis of irrelevant historical framing. That challenge is pending review by Judge Mariana Kwan. Royal insiders have described this as Harry's most lucid and morally anchored decision to date. A source close to Prince Edward summarized the family's view. He's not burning bridges anymore. He's walking back across them alone and asking to be held accountable. That's new. That's why the Crown is listening. In this moment, Harry's story has transformed from rebel to reformer, a father who once abandoned royal life to protect his family, now returning to protect his children from the world he didn't see coming. Windsor, January 27. While the public focuses on Prince Harry's legal filings and Meghan Markle's anticipated response, the deeper orchestration lies in the steady, calculated hands of two figures inside the crown, King Charles III and Princess Anne, the Princess Royal. Behind gilded doors and away from public emotion, they have begun executing a carefully designed plan not only to protect Archie and Lilibet, but to redefine the crown's posture in a post-Meghan monarchy. This is not merely the story of Harry's return, It is the story of how the monarchy intends to rebuild the legacy of the House of Windsor through institutional resilience and generational shielding, quietly, lawfully, and with profound strategic discipline. When King Charles received Harry's handwritten letter on January 19, those close to the monarch say he was deeply moved but wary. For years, Charles bore the weight of contradiction, father to a rebellious son, but sovereign responsible for a 1,000-year institution. The death of Queen Elizabeth II in 2022 had hardened his public exterior, but never quite erased his private grief over the Windsor divide. According to a senior aide at Clarence House, the King's response came within 48 hours, not a letter, but a directive. "The Crown does not operate on sentiment," he reportedly told advisers. But the heart of this monarchy has always been children. On January 21, Charles authorized the creation of what is now known internally as the Sovereign Pathway for Custodial Reintegration, a legal and structural framework allowing Harry to re-establish himself as a father under Crown observance, while keeping him excluded from constitutional influence. In simple terms, a way back for the bloodline, without the baggage. The children are the priority, Harry is the condition. Where Charles offers space for reconciliation, Princess Anne provides the perimeter. Since early 2025, Anne has served as the royal family's informal chief of internal oversight, particularly in matters involving protocol, security, and public dignity. She has spearheaded the 6-month Royal Monitoring Protocol, and she's the one who insisted on independent assessment teams for Harry's reintegration period. One insider at St. James's Palace described her as not cruel, just clear. She doesn't see Harry as an exile, she sees him as a variable, one that must either stabilize or be neutralized entirely. Anne has also worked closely with Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, who is understood to be the primary emotional support figure for Archie and Lilibet during their reacclimation to British life. The children's initial intake evaluations were conducted under the quiet supervision of Dr. Eleanor Barrick, a child psychiatrist previously affiliated with the Cambridge Early Years Initiative. Results, according to a senior Royal Medical Board member, were encouraging but fragile. Both children showed signs of emotional overexposure to adult conflict, but retained strong family attachment, particularly to Harry. Anne has stated that the monarchy's role is not to punish Harry, but to insulate his children from further instability. That objective now guides every decision. Observers have noted that this entire operation represents a tactical evolution in how the Crown handles internal fractures. Rather than relying on vague press statements or staged holiday walkabouts, the Windsors are turning to legal systems, psychological vetting, and enforceable agreements. It's the influence of Princess Catherine and the modern monarchy model she and Prince William have advocated since 2021. Disciplined silence, service-first visibility, and institutional protection over personality loyalty. This is why Harry was offered only a non-residential lease at Adelaide Cottage, instead of a return to Frogmore. This is why the children's participation in royal events is being decided not by HRH status, but by developmental benchmarks. The message is clear: access to the firm is earned even by blood. As the palace continues to maintain its silence, the British public has begun shifting tone. A YouGov poll released on January 26 revealed 63% of respondents supported the return of Archie and Lilibet to royal care. 47% viewed Harry's decision to break from Meghan as a sincere act of paternal responsibility. 31% remained skeptical of his long-term motives, calling for continued monitoring. The Sunday Times editorial stated, "This is no fairy tale redemption. It is the slow, painful work of a man untangling himself from a mythology he helped create." For the monarchy, that may be enough, because this time the goal is not to save a son, it is to preserve a dynasty. London, Santa Barbara. As the final terms of Prince Harry's Custodial Accord take effect and the children return to royal soil, what lies ahead is not simply a story of transition, but of legal finality, public recalibration, and the slow, irreversible dismantling of the Sussex legacy. The final part of this saga will unfold not just in the chambers of the California family court or the structured quiet of Windsor Palace, but in the minds of a global public, long divided over one couple's war with the crown. This isn't just the end of a marriage, it's the closing chapter in a 6-year battle for narrative control and the beginning of an entirely different future. All eyes now turn to March 15, the scheduled custody hearing in Santa Barbara Superior Court, where Meghan Markle will be expected to appear in person. Prince Harry, by prior agreement, will testify virtually under Section 3281 of the California Family Code, given his now established UK residency and the sensitive political implications of physical presence. The court will weigh two competing narratives. Meghan's legal team is expected to argue that the UK environment is hostile, psychologically manipulative, and strategically repressive. Harry's filings will argue that Montecito was a *** manufactured publicity set that exposed children to emotional instability, weaponized press narratives, and blurred the boundary between family and content. In line with California's best interest standard, the judge's decision will hinge on stability, long-term safety, and demonstrable parental readiness. Several factors are expected to weigh in Harry's favor. Verified independent income with no royal subsidy. Zero press activity since the 1st of January 2026. Strong developmental reports from UK-appointed child psychologists. Meghan's challenge will be to prove not only that she is fit, but that she is fit in contrast to Harry's now demonstrable stability. Legal observers, including former California Judge Linda Barros, note, the paradox is stark. Meghan once owned the narrative of survival and strength. Now she must defend herself against the very strategy she pioneered: public narrative warfare. It's numbo. Perhaps the most symbolic casualty in this entire ordeal is the title of Duke and Duchess of Sussex, which has functionally collapsed, even if not yet formally revoked. King Charles has not announced an intention to strip the title, but palace aides confirm that any use of Sussex in commercial or public form now requires formal approval from the Crown Estate Licensing Committee. This includes charitable appearances, social media profiles, product endorsements, children's book publishing. A source at Clarence House said plainly, the title is not a brand, it is a constitutional relic, and it will not be used to sell lavender oil or podcasts again. In practice, Harry has already stopped using the title in all legal documents filed after the 1st of January 2026. The Custodial Accord refers to him as Henry Charles Albert David Windsor, citizen and biological parent of minor dependents. Meghan, notably, still uses Markle, Duchess of Sussex, in all current filings. Though they will not carry HRH, styles during minority, Archie and Lilibet have now been formally enrolled in the Royal Child Development Initiative, a 15-year protection and mentorship scheme that guarantees educational placement in Crown-approved institutions, psychological development oversight by the Royal Medical Board, media shielding in compliance with the 2023 Windsor Privacy Act. Importantly, they are now under dual oversight. Legally, by Harry as primary custodian, institutionally, by the Office of the Princess Royal, until further royal review in 2032. Princess Anne's role here is not ceremonial. She has appointed a team of 5 child development specialists to produce quarterly progress reports. The children are not pawns, Anne reportedly told aides. They are the future, and we will not fail them the way we failed their father. 2. Harry now lives in a 4-bedroom cottage, surrounded by fences, protocols, and silence. There is no security team, no chef, no valet. Just a laptop, a journal, and a strict weekly schedule of parenting classes, legal briefings, and institutional assessments. He's not a prince in exile, he's a father on probation. One royal correspondent observed, In 2020, Harry left to protect his family. In 2026, he returned to do the same. The difference is that this time he has no illusions, only obligations. He is still being watched, still being judged, but for the first time in years, there is no spotlight, and he seems to prefer it that way. For the Crown, the conclusion of the Sussex chapter is not a victory, but a case study. A senior aide to Prince William put it bluntly. "We didn't win, we endured. The Queen taught us that survival is the only crown worth wearing. What comes next is not reconciliation. It is realignment, a future not built on fairy tale love stories or victimhood arcs, but on duty, boundaries, and institutional repair. The House of Windsor remains. Damaged, restructured, quieter, but it remains. And as of the 27th of January 2026, the children have returned. That, to the monarchy, is the only line that matters.